Sideways number 6. This is Dan Didio writing, Carmine Di Giandomenico on the art, which is interesting because it's been
That
Rocafort up
was
until this
nice.
point. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, a bit different. So you actually said to me earlier in the week you didn't like this one as much.
No, this is the worst issue so far to me. It felt like it became a different series. Like I had to go back and see what issue 5 was because I felt like I missed something in between. So, because I remember the mom, the way that issue 5 ended, the mom had found out about him being sideways, right, through those files. And then this just jumped into there's this narration, and I kind of figured out where it was going. But the stuff that happened in between, it just felt like a slapdash put together. And I noticed Rocafort and Justin Jordan, who have been kind of with it in some form or the other, weren't involved in this at all. Like this was all DDO.
Yeah, I'm not sure why that is. That's kind of
Yeah.
weird. Why it's
And I understand Rocafort not doing the art, and I think he gets a story credit.
yeah.
But
Well, it was funny to me because it was them
just
co-writing.
cover?
It was Didio and Justin Jordan co-writing for a while,
Right.
and then it switched to just Jordan for an issue or two, and now it's just Didio for this issue. So it's really weird how it's flipping between them.
Yeah, and Rocafort's only credit is the cover. So Giandomenico and DDO are the storytellers. DDO does the dialogue. But there's no Jordan, and I felt like it was Justin Jordan's writing that really was keeping me with it. And the Rockfort art's I'm never going to complain about.
What's funny about this is that you said to me you didn't like it as much, but from Twitter I was seeing a lot of people saying that they really liked it and that it was even the best issue yet. So I didn't read this until near the end. So I was like, okay, I have no idea what to expect. I'm hearing bad things from Matt. I'm seeing good things from everyone else.
Yeah.
So I went into it not knowing how to feel. I was like, okay, right, I'll just see what it does. Go in blind. It's fine. Yeah, I didn't dislike it. I'm not actually sure why you have the issues you do with it, honestly.
Again, it feels like there was a story there that they were going to slowly play out. And it was like, oh, well, you only have a couple issues left. So wrap everything up. And it just felt like everything happened so fast. And it didn't line up with what I had been enjoying beforehand. Like, I'm kind of sad.
I'll be honest. I don't even understand. Like, I don't even see what you're talking about. Honestly,
So the mother plot. Like,
yeah, the mother plot. So this issue largely revolves around her wanting to find out why the company. So because she's trying to talk to him at the start, she's trying to talk to Derek, and Derek kind of fobs her off and says, "No, go away." And he leaves and immediately teleports as soon as he gets out the door, and she can't find him. So she wants to go to her office to try and dig up more stuff and find out what they're doing with him and why they're following him, why they're watching him. And the entire thing has this really weird tone over it, this sort of dark tone of like, this is not a good idea. And all the narration from Derek is in the past tense, as if he regrets his actions of that day. And we see like it's very shady, like the security guard doesn't really want to let her in, and then the creepy scientist who works there is like trying to convince her to leave. Right. And it kind of feels like it's building up to her death, and that's kind of what it does. It builds up to her being thrown out the window, essentially, in the dark, because she's looking into things she's not supposed to be looking at. And so it's kind of this dark turn. And for me, the issue, it focuses more on the mother and what she's up to, try to figure things out. And I thought it flowed quite well. And I thought the narration difference, it reminded me a little bit of a certain episode of the hit television show Buffy the Vampire Slayer.
Jeez.
But no, it reminded me of a couple episodes of that where you'd have this narration talking about the like how big a deal this episode was, or even if it wasn't in the past tense. I'm thinking of season 2's Passion, where Angelus would be narrating that episode, even though he's the villain, and it gave it this tone of something bad's going to go down in this episode. And to me, this issue kind of felt like that. It was like Derek's narrating from the future, and he's talking about his regrets and his mistakes. And throughout the issue, he keeps ignoring his mum's calls, and he doesn't want to talk to her. He ends up having like a little adventure with Tempest, where he goes to help Tempest, because Tempest is fighting this big interdimensional demon or whatever it is, and he ends up like helping him. The powers kind of like combine.
Oh. And that's what I get. Like, I just felt like this was a random jaunt back with Tempest. Just like, I don't know. I liked that it felt like it was taking its time. And then all of a sudden, this book is nothing but plot. Just, we had a lot of cool character stuff in the first 5 issues. And that's what I enjoyed reading. And then here...
I actually just don't understand, because I don't feel there is too much plot. I don't feel like I feel like the pacing is the exact same, I guess is what I'm saying.
No, see, I don't. I just feel like they packed in a whole bunch You know,
No,
like,
I completely just disagree with it because for me the mum plot moved at a nice speed. Derek ignoring it almost feels like the. I was going to compare it to like your Batman origin, but it's probably better to compare it to Spider-Man. But I like the idea that it built up to like the parent dying. It's like it shouldn't have died in that first issue. We got a little bit of the relationship first.
And again, I don't have issues with the mom dying, even though I don't like the way that it just to me it felt like it just felt off. It didn't feel like the Sideways I was enjoying,
Because it wasn't Rockefeller on the art, it felt a little bit different. But I like Gia Domenico.
Gia Domenico, yeah, it's not the art. I feel it's more the story than anything.
No, I mean it's got a different tone, but it's a very intentional different tone. It's just very much here's this somber tone because of the events of the story that's about to take place.
And again, it's not the somber tone. I just feel the way it was assembled. I'm just not.
I'll be honest, Matt. This may be my favorite issue of the book so far.
I don't get it. Just like you don't get mine. I don't get it. Like
I just don't understand. Like, because normally when we have a difference of opinion on a book, like I'll hear why you don't like it, and you understand I just don't like this concept as much as you do, or vice versa, or whatever. Or you can see what the problem is, but it doesn't bother you as much for whatever reason. I just don't understand this time. Us being friends means we line up and more than we don't.
Yeah.
Right? But every so often there's still times where it's like completely just different, and I actually love this issue. I think this issue builds to her death in a really smart way. I felt tense as it was building up because I knew it was going to happen. It was in my stomach, like I knew it was going there, but it still worked as it was building up to it. And then the stuff with Tempest, it felt like, okay, we're opening up the world a little bit. We're seeing the extent of what his powers could be. It's not just about teleporting on Earth. He can open rifts to other planets, potentially, if he really controls his power, if he really harnesses it. And the fact that he actually bonds with Tempest a little bit, like Tempest is actually happy to have a friend there because he's not used to having that. But so you got that, and we got a little bit more of like him thinking about his mother and feeling guilty because he sometimes thinks about his real parents, his birth parents, and like could he have a relationship with them? And because Ernie's having a fun day with her mother out at the fair. Also, I never actually realized that her sister was an identical twin before.
Yes, that was the other thing. They felt like they just dropped on us here. They're like, oh, well, they're identical.
I don't feel it's dropped on us so much as it's just we didn't know yet. Or if it was mentioned so casually that I didn't quite catch it. Because I kind of had fun where... Because I thought it was her until he mentioned it wasn't, and she's been like kind of, well, not Ernie. she's been more of a typical teenage girl to him, and he has to kind of deal with that. But no, I was really into this issue of Sideways.
Well, I'm glad you liked it.
Yeah, because you said it was rough, and I put it off thinking, oh god, because I assumed I was going to agree with you, and then I read it and I went, I actually kind of like this, and then it kept going. I'm like,
well, when you told me people are saying it's the best issue, I'm just like, I don't get it. I don't, after I really enjoyed the last issue too.
Yeah.
So.
Well, I mean, obviously, I'd say stick around. I wouldn't let one issue put you off.
Well, no, I'm gonna see where it goes, but again, when I saw that and I saw there was no Justin Jordan or Rockefeller, I was like, that's weird. So,
I would have expected Rockefeller to be gone just because every other New Age book lost its artist.
Yeah, well, and that's why I felt like they tried to cram a whole bunch of stuff. Like, DDO knows, like, we only have a couple issues left because these New Age of Heroes books aren't...
Well, I mean, this is what I'm saying where I don't get it. I don't feel like it's stuffing anything in this issue. To me, the pacing here is actually probably the best it's been in the entire book because it juggles the two plot lines quite effortlessly, and it doesn't feel like it's, so, yeah. I have nothing else to add, I guess. But Sideways is really good, so check it out. Is what I'm saying.
What do you rate it?
What would I rate it? Yeah, I'm going high here. 8.5 for me.
Oh wow, this is a 6 because I can't fault it too much, but I also didn't enjoy it.
Yeah, in terms of being put together, like this is higher than some of the other books for me that would otherwise beat it usually.